At first, it feels wrong. The words stumble out of your mouth, foreign and hollow, like lines from a script you don't quite believe. I am abundant. I am free. I am already living the life I desire. They echo in your mind like fragile whispers, but instead of empowerment, you feel resistance. An invisible weight pulls you back, insisting, "This isn't true." Why? Why does something so positive, so empowering, sound like a lie the moment it touches your lips? This is where most people stop. They try a few affirmations, a few manifestation practices, and when the discomfort rises, they abandon the path. But what if that wrongness isn't a mistake? What if that very discomfort is the signal that you are standing on the threshold of a transformation your mind can't yet comprehend? For centuries, mystics, philosophers, and now even physicists have whispered a truth too strange for most to believe. Reality is not as solid as it seems. What we call the world may be bending, shifting, and rearranging itself in ways that our senses cannot yet perceive. But before reality changes, the self must change. And change, at its very core, never feels comfortable. Imagine a prisoner who has lived in darkness all his life. One day, a door opens, spilling light into his cell. He shields his eyes, overwhelmed by pain. For him, the light does not feel liberating. It feels unbearable. But if he resists the pain, he never escapes. If he dares to step forward, his entire reality is reborn. This is what the beginning of manifestation feels like. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance, the mental friction that arises when a new idea collides with an old belief. You say, "I am abundant." Your subconscious replies, "No, you're broke. Look at your bank account. Look at your failures." The clash between these two realities doesn't mean you are failing. It means the old program, the outdo, aided script running your life, is fighting to survive. And like any system that senses its own destruction, it resists violently. But here lies the secret. That resistance is not the end, it is the beginning. Think of a seed buried in the soil. Before it can reach the sun, it must first crack open, breaking apart the shell that once protected it. From the outside, it looks like destruction. From the inside, it is creation. When you affirm a new reality, your mind cracks open in the same way. And yes, it feels wrong. Here's the question that lingers like a shadow. If the feeling of wrongness is so strong, how do you know you're not simply lying to yourself? This is the haunting mystery of manifestation. For in that uneasy space, between what is and what could be, reality itself hangs in the balance. And so the question remains, how can wrongness be the very proof of rightness? How can resistance be the evidence of progress? The answer is stranger than you think. Because the moment you declare a new reality, two worlds collide. One is the world you've known, the world of scarcity, limitation, and doubt. The other is the quantum possibility of who you could become. And in that collision, discomfort is inevitable. But here's the hidden truth. If you feel nothing, you are changing nothing. If you feel resistance, you are standing at the doorway of transformation. Let's step deeper. Modern physics tells us that reality does not exist in a fixed state until it is observed. Electrons shimmer in fields of probability. Energy collapses into matter only when consciousness demands it. What does this mean? It means the wrongness you feel is not proof that your affirmation is false. It is proof that you are stretching the boundary of probability itself. You are demanding a new collapse of reality, and reality, like your subconscious mind, resists before it yields. Suspense grows here. Because if the discomfort is a sign that reality is shifting, then the pain, the doubt, the uneasiness, could they be the exact confirmation you've been searching for? Think about it. What if the very moment you want to quit is the moment the shift is happening beneath the surface? What if your resistance is the signal flare that says, "Keep going, you are closer than you think"? Every seeker of truth faces this fork in the road. Some retreat, mistaking discomfort for failure. Others press forward, realizing that discomfort is transformation in disguise. The ones who continue, despite the unease, are the ones who break free. And so we arrive at the central mystery of Chapter 1. When everything in you screams, "This isn't working," that may be the moment it is working best. Because manifestation is not about saying words that feel easy. It is about reprogramming a mind that has been wired for limitation, for doubt, for survival, not expansion. And rewiring the mind is not painless. It is electric. It shakes foundations. It demands death of the old self so the new self can be born. But the question lingers like a riddle you cannot escape. If resistance is a sign of progress, then how can we embrace it without being consumed? If doubt is proof of transformation, how do we know when to push forward and when to surrender? The answers lie deeper still in the very structure of the brain, the mechanics of belief, and the strange quantum fabric of reality itself. And that is where we go next. When you close your eyes and whisper an affirmation, "I am abundant. I am worthy. I am already living the life I desire," it feels wrong, even fake. But this wrongness is not random. It is the natural resistance of a brain that has been programmed for years, even decades, to believe the opposite. Your brain is not trying to make you abundant. Your brain is trying to keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors roamed harsh landscapes where survival was not guaranteed. To stay alive, the brain evolved to pay more attention to threats than to opportunities. A rustle in the grass could mean danger. A strange sound in the dark could mean death. Optimism was a luxury. Doubt was survival. And this ancient survival code still lives inside you. So when you say, "I am safe, I'm abundant," your brain scans for danger and replies, "No, you're not. Prove it." The discomfort you feel is not proof that the affirmation is false. It is proof that your brain is still running the ancient software of fear and protection. But here's the twist. The same brain that resists change can be rewired. Every thought you've ever had, every belief you've ever repeated, has carved pathways into your brain. Neuroscientists call them neural pathways, like highways made of electricity and chemistry. If you've told yourself for years, "I'm not good enough," that thought has a 6-lane highway in your brain. If you suddenly say, "I am powerful and worthy," It feels like you're stepping off the highway into the wilderness. It's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. It feels wrong. But here's the hidden secret of neuroplasticity. The more you travel a new path, the stronger it becomes. The old path, the path of doubt, begins to fade. Think of it like learning a new instrument. At first, your fingers stumble, awkward and clumsy. But with repetition, the brain adapts. What was once uncomfortable becomes effortless. Affirmations, visualizations, manifestations, they all work the same way. Discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is the sign that your brain is learning a new song. But the resistance goes deeper still. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance, the mental tension that arises when you try to hold two conflicting beliefs at once. One belief says, I am abundant. Another belief says, I am broke. Your brain hates conflict. It craves consistency. So when you introduce a bold new belief, your mind scrambles to eliminate the mismatch. And in that scramble, you feel doubt, fear, unease. The old belief fights for survival. But here's the paradox. The greater the dissonance, the greater the potential for transformation. You see, your brain is not just protecting you from danger. It is protecting your identity. From childhood, you were given a script. Who you are, what you can achieve, what you deserve. These scripts became the foundation of your personality. So when you dare to say, I am successful, I am worthy, I am loved, you are not just challenging a thought. You are challenging the entire architecture of who you believe you are, and your brain fights back. But here's the hidden gift. Every surge of resistance means you are rewriting your identity. Every moment of discomfort means you are dissolving the old self. And the old self must resist, because it knows it is dying. But the resistance is not just in the mind. It seeps into the body. When you affirm abundance and your subconscious screams back, your nervous system responds. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your stomach twists. This is not failure. This is biology. Your body has memorized your old identity. It has stored fear, doubt, and scarcity in muscle and memory. And as you rewrite the mind, the body resists too, but with repetition, the body learns. The nervous system calms, the new identity becomes embodied. So here lies the question that deepens the mystery. If discomfort is simply the brain resisting change, what happens when you push past the discomfort? If neural pathways can be rewritten, how far can they go? Could the very act of enduring resistance unlock powers beyond biology itself? Because some scientists suggest that the brain is not just a machine of flesh and neurons. It may be a receiver of consciousness, a filter for a deeper reality. If this is true, then every time you sit with discomfort, every time you push beyond resistance, you are not just rewiring your brain, you may be reshaping reality itself. Science tells us a story stranger than fiction, a story that shatters logic, bends time, and challenges everything we thought we knew about reality. For centuries, we believed the universe was fixed, a giant clockwork machine of matter, gears, and certainty. But in the 20th century, something shifted. Physicists peered deep into the subatomic world, expecting to find solid building blocks of reality. Instead, they found nothing solid at all. At the smallest scales of existence, matter behaves like a ghost. An electron is not a tiny marble. It is a cloud of possibilities, shimmering in a haze of potential. But here's the twist. The moment you look at it, the moment you observe, the cloud collapses into a single reality. This is the observer effect, one of the strangest and most unsettling discoveries in quantum physics. It tells us that reality does not exist in a definite state until consciousness enters the equation. In other words, you are not just a passive witness of the universe. You are a participant in its unfolding. So what does this mean for you, sitting quietly, whispering your affirmations? What does quantum physics have to do with the unease you feel when you say, "I am abundant"? The answer lies in energy. Every thought you think generates a measurable electrical and magnetic field in the brain. Every emotion you feel vibrates through your body as frequency. These signals radiate outward, subtle but real. And when enough energy is sustained in a single direction, it begins to influence the quantum field of probabilities. This is not philosophy. It is physics. Imagine reality as a vast ocean of waves. Each wave represents a potential outcome, a version of your life waiting to be born. When you hold a belief, when you project thought and emotion together, you are collapsing those waves into form. You are choosing one outcome from the ocean of infinity. This is why affirmations feel wrong at first. Your current identity is trying to collapse one version of reality. Scarcity, doubt, limitation. But your affirmations are pulling on another wave entirely. Abundance, freedom, power. And in that tug of war, you feel resistance. To understand this deeper, consider the infamous double-slit experiment. Physicists fired particles of light through two slits, expecting them to behave like bullets. But instead, the particles formed interference patterns, like waves overlapping. Light was behaving as both a particle and a wave, solid and ghostly, real and unreal at the same time. And here's the shock. The moment scientists observed the experiment, the particles collapsed into a single path. Consciousness altered the outcome. So what if the same is true for your life? What if, right now, your future exists as infinite waves of probability, but the reality you observe most intensely is the one that collapses? This is why affirmations, visualizations, and manifestations matter. They are not just positive thinking. They are the training of consciousness to observe a different outcome. Focus long enough on scarcity, and you collapse scarcity. Focus long enough on abundance, and you collapse abundance. But here's the catch. In the beginning, abundance feels fake because your consciousness has spent years observing scarcity. The discomfort is simply the brain saying, "This isn't what we usually collapse into reality." But with repetition, focus sharpens, and the wave of possibility begins to bend in your favor. And so we arrive at a haunting question. If reality exists as an infinite field of probabilities, what else is possible for you? If every version of your future already exists as a wave, what determines which one you collapse into? Could it be as simple as belief? And if so, what happens when belief grows stronger than doubt? When focus becomes sharper than fear? when observation becomes so unshakable that the universe itself has no choice but to rearrange. Every great journey begins with doubt, not confidence, not certainty, not clarity. Doubt. It whispers when you speak your first affirmation. It lingers when you visualize your future. It claws at your mind, insisting, "This isn't real. This isn't possible. Stop before you embarrass yourself." And yet, doubt has accompanied every seeker, every mystic, every scientist who dared to question reality. The question is not whether you will face doubt. The question is, will you mistake it for failure? Or will you recognize it as the shadow of your own becoming? Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. Before it becomes a tree, it must break apart in the darkness. The seed does not know if the sun is truly above. It only knows pressure, uncertainty, struggle. That is what doubt feels like. When you affirm, "I am abundant," your old self dies in the soil of the subconscious, and the cracking, the breaking, the tension, that is doubt at work. It is not proof of weakness. It is proof that transformation is underway. Throughout history, the greatest transformations were always born in doubt. Buddha faced years of temptation and uncertainty before enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Jesus wandered in the desert, tested by visions of failure and fear. Scientists who first believed the earth moved around the sun were mocked, ridiculed, doubted. Every breakthrough, spiritual or scientific, was born in the shadow of resistance. So why should your journey be any different? The truth is, doubt is not the enemy. Doubt is the teacher. It asks, "Do you truly believe what you are saying?" It demands proof, not from the world, but from you. Each time you choose to continue despite doubt, you strengthen the muscle of faith. Each time you hold your affirmation in the storm of resistance, you anchor yourself deeper into the new reality. Without doubt, belief would be shallow. Without resistance, transformation would be hollow. Imagine a world without night, without shadow, without darkness. Light itself would lose meaning. In the same way, doubt gives weight to belief. It sharpens it, refines it. Like fire purifies gold, doubt burns away the shallow, leaving only what is true. So when you whisper, "I am free," and doubt answers back, "No, you're not," that is your opportunity to choose belief over fear, to choose light over shadow. And in that choice, your reality bends. Many spiritual traditions describe doubt not as an obstacle, but as initiation. In Hindu philosophy, illusion, Maya, clouds the seeker until persistence dissolves it. In Sufi mysticism, doubt is seen as the veil before divine union. In Taoism, discomfort signals imbalance before harmony is restored. In every case, the shadow is not the end. It is the threshold. The initiate who mistakes it for failure turns back. The one who sees it as initiation moves forward. But here is where the mystery deepens. What if your doubt is not just a mental reaction? What if it is the echo of the reality you are leaving behind? Every time you affirm, you split from an old identity. That identity does not vanish quietly. It clings. It resists. It whispers doubts because it knows it is dissolving. And so your doubt may not be proof that manifestation is impossible. It may be the very evidence that manifestation is already happening. So ask yourself, the next time doubt rises, whose voice is it really? Is it your fear? Or is it the dying echo of the self you are leaving behind? And if it is only an echo, why would you ever turn back? Imagine striking a tuning fork in a quiet room. Its vibration fills the air. Now bring another tuning fork, tuned to the same note, close to it. Without touching, the second fork begins to vibrate. This is resonance, one frequency awakening another, and this is the hidden law of manifestation. You do not simply ask for what you want, you align with it, you become it. Affirmations are powerful, but words alone are not enough. It is not the sound of "I am abundant" that transforms reality. It is the frequency behind it. If you say the words but feel fear, you vibrate scarcity. If you say the words but embody gratitude, you vibrate abundance. The universe responds not to language, but to resonance. Your frequency is the signal. Every emotion you feel carries a vibration. Fear contracts, anger burns, doubt wavers, gratitude expands, love radiates. When you hold gratitude, your heart generates a immeasurable electromagnetic field that expands far beyond your body. When you hold fear, the field shrinks. This is not metaphor, it is physics. So to manifest abundance, you must feel it before you see it. To attract love, you must vibrate love before it arrives. The secret, then, is not to wait for your dream reality to appear. The secret is to embody it now. Ask yourself, how would I walk if I already had everything I desired? How would I speak? How would I breathe? How would I treat others? When you live as if your desire has already arrived, you shift frequency. You collapse the wave of probability into the reality of your choice. This alignment is not a one-time act. It is a ritual, a practice. Every morning, you choose frequency. Every night, you choose it again. Breathe deeply and feel gratitude before the day begins. Walk as if you are already the person you seek to become. Speak affirmations not as words, but as declarations of truth. In time, resistance fades, the body relaxes, the mind accepts, and the universe resonates in harmony with your new self. But here lies the tension. What happens when your external world still shows scarcity while your inner world vibrates abundance? What happens when bills still arrive, when loneliness still lingers, when doubt still whispers? This is the most fragile moment of manifestation, the gap between inner frequency and outer reality. It is here that most people give up, but it is here that the quantum field is listening most closely. If you surrender to doubt, the old reality wins. If you hold the frequency, despite appearances, you bend the wave into collapse. This is the art of alignment, to live in the in-between, to see lack in the world, yet feel abundance in the heart, to feel alone, yet vibrate love, to face fear, yet radiate courage. This is not denial. It is choice. It is mastery of frequency. And it is in this mastery that reality begins to yield. So the question hangs in the air, how long can you hold the vibration of a future unseen? How deeply can you embody a reality that has not yet arrived? Because if you can hold it long enough, it will. There comes a point on every journey when the weight feels unbearable. The affirmations seem hollow. The meditations feel empty. The doubt grows louder than belief. This is the breaking point. And yet, in the strange architecture of transformation, the breaking point is the doorway to the breakthrough. Think of glass under pressure. For a long time, it resists. Invisible stress builds inside, lines of tension forming beneath the surface. Then calmer with the slightest tap, it shatters. Your old self is that glass. Your affirmations, your new frequencies, they build pressure. At first, nothing seems to change. But deep inside, cracks are forming. And one day, suddenly, the illusion of limitation breaks apart. That shattering is the breakthrough. This is not about getting abundance. It is about becoming abundant. At first, the statement, "I am worthy," feels like a lie. But over time, something changes. You no longer argue with it. You no longer resist it. You simply know it. This is identity shifting. When the new belief no longer feels forced, when it becomes who you are, manifestation is no longer effort. It is expression. Athletes call it the zone. Artists call it the flow. Mystics call it union. It is the moment when resistance dissolves and action feels effortless. This state is not rare. It is the natural outcome of alignment. When you align with frequency long enough, the universe begins to flow through you. Opportunities appear as if by chance. People arrive in your life at the perfect time. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. This is the breakthrough, the collapse of doubt into certainty, of effort into flow. But here lies a paradox. The breakthrough does not come by force. It comes by surrender. When you stop straining, when you stop demanding proof from reality, you allow the new frequency to breathe. It is the act of planting a seed and sting the soil. You do not dig it up every day to see if it has grown. You water it. You trust. And one day it sprouts. So too with manifestation. The breakthrough arrives not when you grip tighter, but when you finally let go. How do you know when the breakthrough has arrived? It begins subtly. The negative thoughts that once dominated no longer feel as strong. The doubt that once screamed now whispers faintly. You catch yourself speaking and acting as your future self, without effort. Then, the outer world begins to reflect it. Opportunities, synchronicities, and shifts in circumstances appear. Not as miracles from the sky, but as natural extensions of who you have become. The world is not changing for you. It is changing with you. And here the deepest question emerges. If you can break through one layer of resistance, how many layers remain? If you can bend reality once, how far can it bend? Is there a limit to what consciousness can shape? Or are we only beginning to glimpse the true power of mind and matter? The breakthrough is not the end. It is the beginning of a greater frontier. Because if resistance is transformation, and transformation is infinite, then what you call a breakthrough today may only be the first step into a reality without limits. You have walked through the shadows of doubt. You have felt the weight of resistance, the trembling of discomfort, the crack of the old self. You have seen how the brain resists change, how frequency bends reality, how surrender births breakthrough. But knowledge alone changes nothing. The question now is, what will you do with it? Every day, reality places a choice before you. To wake and replay the old identity, or to align with the new. The universe does not force your hand. It waits. It listens. It responds. If you continue to affirm, to embody, to vibrate your future, then that future collapses into being. If you fall back into doubt, the old reality returns. The choice is always yours. The field is always open. Jobus, this is not about one meditation. Not one affirmation. Not one spark of belief. It is a practice, a devotion, a ritual of becoming. With every breath, you send a signal. With every thought, you sculpt a possibility. With every emotion, you shape the field. You are not powerless. You are the architect of your reality. So here is the invitation. Do not run from discomfort. Sit with it. Breathe into it. Know that it is proof of transformation. Do not fear doubt. See it as the shadow that proves light exists. Do not beg reality to change. Become the frequency that bends reality itself. And when resistance feels unbearable, remember, you are on the edge of the breakthrough. From this moment forward, walk differently. Speak differently. Live as the future self you have already claimed. When you rise tomorrow, choose one thought, one action, one feeling that belongs not to your past but to your future. Step by step, day by day, the world will shift. Not because you waited for it, but because you became it. So now the question remains, will you turn back into the old identity? Or will you step forward into the unknown, into the reality that has been waiting for you all along? The universe does not decide. You do. If this journey has awakened something inside you, if you are ready to step beyond doubt, beyond fear, and into the power of your own frequency, then stay with us. Subscribe. Join this community of seekers. Because the story does not end here. This is only the beginning.